Yo, what's up, everybody? Oz here. Before we get into this episode, I want to let you guys know that this one is brought to you by our good friends at the XL Public House. Man, those guys, they built a beer garden in the back, and they're back to pouring that craft beer that we all love. And right now, they're open from Wednesday through Saturday. Wednesday and Thursday, 2 to 8:30 p.m. Friday and Saturday from 12 to 8:30 p.m. And be sure to get ready to follow all them COVID protocols we all know about. You know, got to keep your mask on, get your temperature checked. Once you sit down, then you can take your mask off, enjoy your beer. If you're not ready to hang out in public, that's cool. They got you covered too, baby. If you're not ready, they are offering curbside pickup and also at home delivery. Any order over $50 gets free delivery. They're also filling them growlers. And you get a 64-ounce growler fill and 2 tacos, all for $25.99. Or you can go with a smaller option, 32-ounce growler, 2 tacos, $17.99. Both excellent fucking deals. Just depends how much beer you want to drink. This Saturday, August 29th, they are having a tap tape over featuring Buena Vista Brewing Company. So $30. Check this out, baby. For $30, not only do you get 2 tacos, you also get 1 hour of all you can drink from actually, it's not just Buena Vista Brewing. They're doing a tap takeover, but I'm sure there'll be a couple other stuff pouring. But anyway, Tap Takeover, August 29th, featuring Buena Vista Brewing Company, $30, 2 tacos, plus all you can drink beer for 1 hour. Go to their website on their IG bio and hit the link to get your tickets. Peace. Now enjoy this 2 hours of Salinas history. Yo, 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 what up? Welcome back to another episode of Salinas Underground Podcast. Your look at Salinas, man, and this is really your real look at Salinas. Dude, all right, Oz back here, Electro on the mic.
Hello.
Everyone already knows Electro, and then we got Lil on the third mic today.
Lil.
What's up, guys?
We got Lily also, mostly from the Electro and Bondo movie Power Hour, featuring Lily. That's what it should.
Featuring Lily.
We gotta add her something.
Yeah.
Like a quarter of the time.
But I mean, you've been on here as well before, so we don't really need to introduce you. She's the loud one on the mic.
Yeah, we were just talking about how I'm always the loud one for some reason, but I'm not. It's just the mic.
You always get.
I'm not a
fourth
yeller,
mic.
guys.
Yeah. Anyways, we can move on. She yells.
So anyway, today, like I was saying, this is Salinas Underground Podcast. We talk about Salinas, but this one's going to be really, really crazy deep about Salinas. It looks like we're going to break one of our long-standing rules that we've had on this show, and that is that we've never had politicians on. I don't believe. At least definitely not during election time or to talk about election stuff. Never done that because we never wanted to feel like we were endorsing anybody.
Yep.
Because it never was about that. Like we obviously, like, I have my own personal opinion. Like Oz, yeah, you come talk to me. I'll tell you exactly who to vote for, who I would want you to vote for. But for Salinas Underground, I want this to be just information for everybody. You know, for anybody to be able to make a choice about Salinas. So basically, I was gonna have a guest on who then decided to throw their hat in the ring to run for a city council seat. And there's at least 2 council seats up. There's 6 total. There's 2 up for re-election or whatever, at least. And obviously the mayor, there's going to be a new mayor. The city manager just retired. That's not an elected position, but that's a very powerful position. I think that's the most powerful position actually in the city. I think it's city manager.
Damn.
And obviously the mayor and the council people are going to have a say on who this person is. So this election season is going to be pretty
A doozy.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be interesting. And so I was curious because I was going to have this person on not as a politician, but as a small business owner, because that's what they were at this point. But then as we were talking, all of a sudden this news came out. So I'm like, shit, like, I don't want us to be like, well, sorry, you know, like you don't have a shot now, because I still want
to listen to this show
to tell their story.
you might just be telling them like this.
Yeah, he might find out after today or after you air it.
Obviously we've been communicating. Like, yeah, No, he's coming on the show. So we're coming. We're getting him on the show. It's actually Orlando from Tortas al Cien, who is
Okay.
running, I believe, for District 4 City Council. Well, of course, he is a small business owner. Again, Tortas al Cien is one of those hot new pop-ups that everywhere they go, they just sell out of their
Really?
fucking tortas.
You
man.
eating there? You had a torta?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Delicious?
Oh, dude, yeah, because they're one of those that it's not just a regular torta like that you would expect, like a traditional type one. They'll put like hot Cheetos and stuff in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see
but
what you're saying.
but not in a way that's just outrageous. Like, oh, just to say that we put fries and Cheetos and nacho cheese, like just to be like, oh, this is just a giant thing. Like there's actual rhyme and reason to all their fucking different.
There's thought behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they even have like a vegan torta now.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're doing a bunch of cool stuff, and everywhere they go, again, they I don't know if they sell out, but they're definitely really popular. And I was gonna have him on the show, but then he decided to run for the district. And again, and I thought that was fucking cool. Like,
He's
how
gonna
dope
bring
is
tortas
that?
to the people? Is that what he's
Right?
Mm.
If that's his thing,
That
then,
sounds
we might have to endorse
delicious.
somebody for the first
Well,
time
well,
ever.
I can stand behind
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
We should
If he
give
makes the
tortas to
best
people.
tortas in Salinas, then yeah.
This guy puts hot Cheetos in his tortas, guys. You guys gotta listen to him.
I'll listen to him.
Yeah. So you're gonna introduce him?
So anyway, so we're breaking that tradition of not having politicians on, especially during campaign season. 'cause
I don't know how I
that's
feel
exactly
about
what
this,
is.
man.
It's crazy.
Breaking traditions here.
We have to.
What's going on, man? Before you know it, like
It's kind of in
The
a way
anarchy.
it's kind of like you're having a debate, right? It's okay as long as you're not like over here like choosing sides. Like you can choose your side on, in your own time, but it's okay to bring people on to speak about like what's important to them.
Yeah,
you
exactly. And like I said, I didn't want to essentially throw away a potential guest opportunity because of this rule, but also it was inevitable that his campaign was going to come up. Like, how could you not bring that up? Like, how cool somebody born and raised in this town that started a business in this town that is
Love
now
that
running for
business.
office. Like, how fucking cool is that? Like, I want to talk about
Pretty
that.
tight.
But there's also, other people that are running, and I was like, fuck, I would feel bad if they were like, well, I
Well,
would have loved the chance to. And so I'm like,
What
fuck it,
is
come
their
on.
stance on tortas? Is what I want to
Yeah.
know. What do they think?
Yeah.
Well, you should invite them, Ozzy.
Well, I'm
Invite
going.
him.
So that's the idea.
You're gonna
I-
start a
again,
war over
No, not if he does it right.
Well, again, starting. I mean, because it is August 16th right now as we're recording, the day of our Christian Lord here.
Failure of our Lord 2020.
It won't air. It won't air until
Oh.
2021. But
Yeah, this episode won't come out for a while. But anyway, it's August 16th.
Yeah, don't give it a date. It's fucking September fucking
Well, we got
7th.
no. This is coming out timely because we have until November. This is actual deadline because when's election day? November 3rd or something like that.
Yes.
Roundabout.
I don't know. I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna say yes.
So we got like less than 3 months to go, and if we're going to do it once a week, I don't know how many people are running, how many people are going to get on. So we may not have enough time to get everybody on. So yeah,
We're gonna have to work overtime on this then.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
it is.
important. It's important for the people to.
It
to
is
know.
important. Let's do it.
honest, and I don't know if this is I don't think I'm saying anything. I mean, speaking too much out of line, but I have reached out to other local media connections that I have to be like, well, if this does work out, like let's get other people in here. Let's get
Mhm.
other, actual journalists, not to belittle what we do, but if like they might have their questions like, hey, how can we all do this together? We have the capability and the space here to do podcasts. Let's get everybody involved and get as
Tell
many
the
people as we
story
can
in a
here.
longer form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get the Salad Bites Media name out there,
That's right.
Yes,
and
the people need to know.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, we got the nice new logo right there.
yeah, hell
The-
yeah!
the
Check out
Salinas
go on
Underground logo.
Instagram if you want to check out our new logo. It's badass, man. I fucking love it.
Mm-hmm.
It have got a great response. Now I got to put it on T-shirts and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's the next step.
Let's do it.
It's amazing.
Artist is actually my brother,
Yeah, your
Lalo
brother
Moreno.
Did a fucking great.
And he did
job
our
on
logo
it.
for the Electro and Bono movie Power Hour 2, which is also good.
The
He
film.
killed
the film
it though.
reel
He
is
killed
great.
it. I was like, when he showed it to me, I was like, wow, this
Yeah.
looks so amazing.
Yeah, he went overboard on that
Above
one.
and beyond. Above and beyond.
I was like, oh, now you're being disrespectful. You're my brother.
No, we got
No, yeah,
an
it's a good
extremely positive response from it. Yeah, again, go check it out on Instagram. It's sick. It's so sick. Yeah, so along those lines, to get that going, to be like, okay, yes, the election season is coming. We're doing politics. It's difficult. We don't do politics. I know it's boring. I know it's tough for people to pay attention to, but this matters. I know president and stuff also matters, but like the local stuff matters
way
way
more.
more. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's weird because this president, like really anti-Mexican and Latino, and there's so much Latinos here and stuff. But anyway, like if somebody votes to like change the parking rates downtown, that affects us way fucking more than if we can't do business with Canada no more. Like
No, and it's so true, Ozzy, because like how many times like do you actually go to
Canada?
vote, especially when you go vote for a president, like something that's really important that you feel is going to be very impactful. Yeah, you're also voting for like all of these people, like within your city, all of these measures. And a lot of the times is like, how many people actually take the time to really learn about these people, about like all these propositions, and you're just going to like fucking vote out of your ass because you don't know, and it actually affects your
this
city.
guy's last name is Moreno. Well,
Yep.
guess who got my vote?
Yep. This guy seems
What a
awesome.
fine name. He
So-
got my vote.
But you don't really hear about these people. Like you have no freaking idea who you're voting for. So this is freaking awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, because these do matter a lot. But also, with that, what is exactly what we're voting for or fighting for or talking about or whatever? And when I say that, I mean in Salinas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long anyone's been here, but this is now your hometown.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it? Other than your hometown, what is Salinas? Like, where did it come from? Towns don't just
Pop up, I don't know.
exactly. I want to say that, but I was like, but they kind of do. Because this one did.
Did it?
Yeah.
Well, how did that happen,
it's
Ozzy?
so like, oh, damn.
I'm glad you asked.
Segue.
We gotta get in we have to get in the time machine, dude. And I named the time machine.
Called Doc Brown.
No.
Marty.
Well, it is obviously it had to do something with that. But the time machine, my time machine is called Great Scott.
Great Scott.
Great Scott. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's what my time machine is. So we get on Great Scott, he takes us back in time.
And also, so you got all this right here on a whiteboard, and this also
the
reminds me of Back to the Future 2,
Yeah.
when Doc Brown uses
He's
a
explaining
chalkboard
it.
to talk about the tangents in the universe. So anyway,
Yeah.
That's the theme.
it's kind of the
And my
gist of it.
favorite is this is
Part
heavy,
three?
Doc.
Part
This is
three?
heavy, Doc. Like some of this shit is heavy,
Okay, here we go.
So let's
This
do
is
it.
It's all with a backdrop of Back to the Future.
As it should be, because we're going back. We're going back.
Yeah, we're definitely
Back
going way back.
in time. Here losing the news. Fucking throw it on right now.
We're going way back, baby.
Don't need money.
But yeah, again,
Don't-
Salinas. What is Salinas? Philosophically. What is Salinas?
Well, isn't that the age-old question,
Yeah.
my boy?
So anyway, I went through some. Actually, let me give a shit. What the hell is that? What's that book called?
Oh,
Right here.
What's it called?
Hand it
It's
over.
Gotta give a
called
shout out to that book.
Monterey County: The Dramatic Story of Its Past by Augusta Fink.
By Augusta Fink. That's the book that started it all. How it came to in my possession, I have no idea.
It was meant
A
for
family heirloom.
It seems
was
like it
gifted
might
to
have been
Billy
my
and who?
stepdad's dad's
Go to the first page.
book. But anyway, this is a book about Monterey County history. And in it, of course, Salinas comes up. And it was just so interesting to start reading about it. And so, yeah, so I did that and I did some other research.
It was written
Dude.
in 1972.
Yeah, so obviously a bunch of stuff has happened. I don't think they had invented Mexicans yet in 1972. I think they invented us in 1974.
Mm.
So
Is that
We were
a-
close, we were
Yeah. And then I did some more research, dude. The library actually has something called the Salinas History Project that they started in 2017.
Wow.
And they've done 4 chapters for. So they've done 2017, 18, 19, and 20, I think. And it's all Salinas. They got like Stanford University and CSUMB. It's so fucking weird. It's so weird. There's like hundreds of pages of a book of Salinas history. And I'm like, what?
Whoa.
What the fuck? So anyway, I went through not all of it, but I went through a bunch of it just to find some highlights, just to kind of paint a picture of what Salinas is, how we got here to 3 people getting drunk, talking into microphones.
I want
2 people getting
2
drunk.
people, I'm sober.
2 people getting drunk.
I want to know when you're gonna do the follow up on this and do the Chular story. Selena's
Ooh.
little
Oh, we'll do it right
brother
now.
over here on the left.
We'll do it
Baby
right now.
brother.
So at some point, somebody built some houses in Chular, and it's 2020.
Okay, that was
Damn.
very
That
disrespectful.
was very that was cold. That was really cold.
I would like to.
No, it's actually in that book. Actually, it comes up. It's
Chular?
Yeah, it's another little rancho.
Sí,
Órale.
I agree.
It was another rancho, and it comes up.
Well, I was
It's
looking
a
because right
pretty-
here on the book it has a little map, and I was looking
Mhm.
for Chular, and it's nowhere to be found. And then
Yeah,
I started
it's
thinking,
called-
when was
it's
Chular founded? 'Cause this
Rancho
book was written
Llano
in
de la
72.
Buena Vista or something like that. It's where it's on there. Eventually turns
Okay.
into Chular. You can track it down. I think it might be on.
Because
some of the
Chular
maps
is
there.
like it's basically Salinas, right? I mean, it's right there.
Well, that's what it was. Is you would just build a town, and then like the train would go all the way to that town. So that's how Salinas. I mean, long story short, boom. That's how Salinas came to be. Is they connected the train from San Jose to here, and then so this became the hot shit little town, and then it went down to Chular, and then Soledad, and then King City, and then that's just how they kept going and how they am making these little towns.
I'm very high, but this is mind blowing.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so the story of
Here for it.
Salinas begins in the 1820s.
Mm.
So that's what 200 years ago, right? So 200 years ago, it's the 1820s. Monterey is already exists. It's been there for almost 60 years, I believe. So it's a bustling town. San Francisco may or may not exist. It
San
may-
Jose exists.
San Jose, yeah.
What came first, Monterey or San
Monterey.
Jose?
Monterey.
This is
Monterey.
fascinating. I don't know why I never fucking thought to ask these questions.
Yeah,
You know?
Monterey was like the capital. If you go back before like 1800s or into the 1800s in this part of the world, Monterey is the big city.
Mm.
It was supposed to be San Francisco and all that, and on top even Salina. It's crazy. So the 1820s, Monterey is a bustling little town. When the fucking rich people of Monterey get bored, they come out over here. They
Make
just
Salinas out of leisure. Is that what you're
well,
saying?
because around back then, 200 years ago, this was all creeks and lakes and marshland and shit
There's a mash
and sloughs. So there was like great fishing and all kinds of stuff. And that's where, again,
Mhm.
obviously Native Americans lived here for thousands of years, and that's that. And we can get to that story as well.
They were a
um,
part of it at that point, 200 years ago.
Yeah, Native American. Yeah, around here, the people that lived here were called the Costanoan, and they didn't have like permanent settlements because of the lakes dried up in the summer, as everyone can see around here. Like you go to the Salinas River in July, and it's fucking
Mm.
dry. But if you dig like a couple feet, there's water there. Like there's always water there. So anyway, that's why they never built any like permanent settlements around here, because the water would come and go.
Mhm.
But they would use it to hunt and fish. And then so the 1820s, the rich people of Monterey would do the same thing. So one person by the name of Jose Tiburcio Castro,
Mm.
who was actually his dad was a soldier in the Spanish military. So he was already well off. He built a little adobe out there, out there.
Like
Mhm.
where?
Rancho Sausal it's all Old Town pretty much.
So around where we are at the moment is where he built his adobe fucking structure.
Well, that actually no, I was trying to figure that out. I couldn't find that information of where that actual first adobe that he built in the 1820s was, but it was definitely around this area.
It was right here, bro. We're right here in the spirit of it, in the thick of it, in the main vein.
We very well could be.
We might be summoning Jose Tiburcio Castro right now.
Like Drag Me to Hell style.
Oh,
That'd be
God.
fucking cool. He started the fucking fire.
Oh fuck!
I know.
started-
There's
Oh,
a,
by the way,
folks, there's a fire.
By the way, the world's ending. There's thunder and fire.
This may never air.
There's
Yeah.
giant heat.
I never
everywhere.
say this. Yeah, there's towering smoke.
We
over our
walked down the
studio.
street and we just did not feel good about.
The future
Yeah.
of the earth.
There's a fire raging. There was like a 747 flying.
Yeah, there's just
Wow.
planes in the
Yeah.
air. It seemed like we were in a fucking movie.
We're in a state of emergency.
Yeah.
But we weren't 200 years ago. Keep it going on.
Yeah, so again,
No fires
Jose
then.
Tiburcio Castro builds this adobe, likes this land, and back then what you did is, because it was still Spanish California, it was Alta California, whatever. So there was a governor around here, and you would tell the governor, hey, dude, from this tree to that creek to that hill to that fucking village over there, I want that land. Like, and I want to call it, Rancho El Gavilan or something. In his case, Rancho Sausal.
Okay.
So in 1834, the governor at that time, Governor Figueroa, finally grants the land officially, because from 1823 to 1834, it was unofficial. It was just a Spaniard out there saying, this is my land.
Mm-hmm.
Typical shit.
But it wasn't official.
No, it was not official. It was not official. And it became official in 1834.
There we go.
But also attached to that land was another chunk of property called Rancho Alizal, which obviously, this is, speaking of that,
We're
that's
on that-
Alizal.
On the goddamn street.
Yeah, that's Alizal Street right there, literally on our corner.
Mercado de la Izal.
So, in that land called Rancho Alizal was owned by two brothers called Feliciano and Mariano Soberanes, who I think in Monterrey, Soberanes, there's still like streets or some shit like that. That was a pretty powerful family. So again, also
Does this family still have roots here?
I'm sure some of these, some of the pretty well connected families in the peninsula. A lot of these also, it's interesting, in Salinas in particular, it was a lot of people that came here after the Civil War that were connected, businessmen from San Francisco. This was supposed to be the San Jose.
This was.
Like, this was supposed to be the town of where the people came to do business and where all the commerce happened. They built the fucking opera house in 1902, bro.
We're the town that should have been.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Shit.
There you go.
What a story.
So also in 1834, Feliciano and Mariano Soberanes are given the official title to the Rancho Alizal. But in that title, a guy by the name of Jose de la Guerra had made a deal with the Soberanes brothers. Yeah. Well, he made a deal with the brothers for 2,971 acres of their land, because he had a son-in-law who was traveling the world doing all this crazy stuff, that he wanted to relax and settle down. And he thought he would be a good teacher. And that dude is a guy by the name of William Hartnell.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah. So William
What are you
Hartnell's
saying,
father-in-law, Jose de la Guerra, said, hey, man, I want you to relax. Take this land under the condition that you build a boarding school to teach people, So
and honor the panther as well. Son.
Amazing.
See,
Honor the panther.
I didn't
At
get
the
it.
same time.
I didn't get a chance to double check this or to see what Hartnell actually had to say on their website, because I'm sure they have their history on there. But in Augusta Fink's book, she says William Hartnell actually waited for two other people to come down from San Francisco before he got his school started, and one of them came down on a boat called the Panther.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if that
I'm geeking out right now.
So, dude, yeah, and so half a mile down the street is what is now called Hartnell College.
We've all been there.
Yeah, we all went. We all kind of went there.
Yeah.
Well, see, and
We had
that's where
fun. We had
I think
fun.
it's funny that, for us growing up here, that's the joke. Oh, Hartnell High. Oh,
Yeah.
how funny is that? Dude, that shit is like the oldest college in California. Like, this is before UCLA, before Berkeley, before all this.
That's crazy. We need to respect Hartnell College more.
fucking nuts.
I've always shown it respect.
I took some
Although
really
the
good
fucking-
classes there.
Although those fucking parking attendants are
They
out
take
of
a-
line.
they
They're
take
out
a-
of line.
They take their job a little too serious.
They're out of line, man. Come on.
We need to make parking free for
You're
college
honoring
students.
William Hartnell a little too much. How
Yeah.
dare you park wrong in the name of William
Yeah,
Hartnell?
William Hartnell he's a hardcore businessman. He would have taken that money.
$20. Send it here.
So anyway, so these guys, so now Jose Castro owns Rancho Sausal. The Soberanes brothers own Rancho Alisal. I'm sure they're getting salmon. They're doing all this, probably beaver out here. They're hunting. Life's good.
Fever.
Yeah.
You
They
stop.
call it.
I just saw Zom Beavers again.
Yeah, I watched that too.
It's a good movie.
It's not bad. It's very bad.
It's a terrible movie.
It's very
It is
bad.
a very, very bad
Bill
movie.
Burr's in it.
It
That's
starts
good.
and ends with Bill Burr. That's all you need.
Makes
And
it worth
John
it.
Mayer, right?
And John Mayer makes
John
it worth it.
Mayer, yeah.
What?
Makes it worth it.
Yeah,
Give it a watch.
Yeah. So anyway, so the land stays in their hand until the Mexican-American War obviously changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, what was Spain, then it became Mexico, is now the United States of America,
Amen, brother.
including Rancho Sausal and Rancho Alisal. So Rancho Sausal, which again was owned by Jose Castro, was purchased by a man named Jacob Lease in 1852 for $600, which is even cheap. I mean, it sounds cheap because it was 850s, but yeah, if you look at that, Rancho Alisal was sold 2 years earlier to a man named Bruno Bernal, which Bernal, there's a street in Salinas as well.
Yeah.
He bought
Also
it for
Gael Garcia,
$6,000.
Bernardo.
So Jacob Lee's got a fucking deal on Rancho Sausal.
Oh yeah, he got it like at 10%.
Yeah, well, and because these guys, like Jose Castro, he couldn't go because, dude, after the U.S. took over what was Mexico,
Mhm.
like in order for them to claim that it was actually their land, they had to do like it was one of those like you need 4 forms of ID and like like a fucking letter with your name on it where you live, like one of those crazy things that has all these.
Like when
crazy
you open a
stipulations.
bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah. All those
All
crazy
these-
demands.
Yeah, where it's like you can't do it. So basically, because he was fucked, he just sold for whatever he could. Again, Jacob Lease got a fucking deal. Jacob Lease got a deal. And from that, 80 acres of the Rancho Sausal was sold to a man named Elias Howe. And this is the
Howe?
true beginnings of the city of Salinas. With this guy named Elias Howe, who was a Bostonian.
Mm.
So Salinas traces its roots back to a dude from Boston.
From
who,
Boston, I felt like I was from Boston. I felt like I was from Boston this whole time.
That's why we like to
my
drink.
God.
We're drunks.
Yeah. So anyway, Elias Howe, that was pretty interesting little fact in there that said his dad invented the sewing machine.
That is an interesting fact.
So I mean, he was a guy of means, probably at least,
a man of means, of course.
I mean, the sewing machine's important.
it's very important.
We can't live without it.
Yeah.
So this is a big deal.
So thank you, Papa Howe.
Yeah.
And thank you for making Elias Howe, who made Salinas. So
Thanks.
Elias Howe buys 80 acres. And so at this time, so we're in the 1850s now. We're in the 1850s. Right
Time's
now,
flying.
like when you go on San Juan Grade Road, like, and you keep going all the way like to the mountains to where you hit Old Stage.
Mhm.
There's a little school and stuff.
Right.
So right in that area, that is what used to be Rancho Natividad. And there was a little town called Natividad. John Steinbeck writes about it, and there's always something to do in Salinas. And it was
That's
up in the
name of
hills.
a book.
It's the name of an essay. Like he wrote it for some magazine. It's funny, like because the city loves to be like, oh look, he said how cool it was. Like it's called "There's Always Something to Do in Salinas," but
Being
it's
sarcastic.
yeah.
Okay.
If you read it, dude, he's just fucking ripping the social town to shred. Like,
I want to read it.
fuck the
Sounds very
farmers. Like,
interesting.
so anyway, yeah. So at this point, there's a town called Natividad out in the hills. It's fucking beautiful. It's popping. That looks like it's the next little center of the area. But Elias House says, nah, I got better ideas. And then the reason why Natividad is cracking is because it sits at the intersection of a stagecoach stop that goes from the Mission Carmel to the Mission San Juan Bautista, and then another one that goes from Los Angeles to San Francisco. So like back then, you got to stop to get water and stuff for your horses and shit, you know?
That's right.
Mm.
So people would do that in Natividad. And Elias House said, nah, they're going to do that in my little town. They're going to do that in my little city. So he buys those 80 acres and he builds a tavern. And so it's like, well, how do you fucking get people to come here? You know, like people got to, Natividad's already established,
That's
you know?
right.
So what he does is he ends up saying, all right, whichever stagecoach shows up first, I'll give them like a dollar or something, pretty much. Like I'll give them some kind of money. So there's a financial incentive. So now the drivers of these stagecoaches start racing to get to this fucking tavern
For a silver dollar.
Yeah, for whatever, probably a loose woman, you know.
That's a race. Bro. That's a race.
So anyway, so all of a sudden, Elias Howe's little tavern called the Halfway House. That, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, that's what the bar was called, was that Halfway House. Which, come on, Salinas, somebody has to open a bar called the Halfway House.
Let's do it. Are we ready to open up our
I'm
own bar?
ready.
Okay.
So Elias Howe's little tavern called the Halfway House just starts being the fucking, it
The
starts
bee's
taking over.
knees.
Yeah. People start coming here because people come to drink, people come to gamble.
Mm.
People, like, dude, this is Salinas,
It's
baby.
like Tombstone? Is this like Tombstone, what you're telling me?
It didn't seem to be at rowdy. I don't know. I'm curious
Well,
to
people
see.
dressed like cowboys like that, like Tombstone style.
Yeah, this
Are we in the Are we in the
Yes.
same
This
timeline?
is the 1850s.
Same
Didn't you
timeline?
see the pictures? They look like the Wild Wild West.
When was
Wild
fucking
Wild West.
Wyatt Earp alive? Was it around this time?
Why
Who?
it might have even been later. A
In
long
the 19s, huh?
Oh.
1848 to
No, you're
1929.
right. You're in the right timeline.
Look at that fucking stash.
That's fucking manly.
Yeah.
That's
That is
manly.
glory. That is
Well,
glory.
so Wyatt Earp is like 10 years old at this time.
That's insane.
So
yeah.
Wyatt Earp is a little youngin'.
Yeah.
Elias Howe's Halfway House. Elias Howe's Halfway House.
Damn, that's
is-
a rap album.
Yeah.
It's a tongue twister, is what it is.
It's popping. It's doing its thing. And then in comes some Italian, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
by the name of
sounds like it.
Alberto Tresconi.
Tresconi.
Oh, no.
Alberto Tresconi. And
I
I
bet
don't,
he makes a mean sauce, dude. Like,
well, and this is where I don't know why Salinas
He
doesn't.
makes a pizza.
He sounds like he probably does.
He's
or
got
is-
some recipes from his grandma.
Yeah.
Some Sicilian recipes.
So enter Alberto Tresconi,
Uh-huh.
who's
Tresconi.
an Italian immigrant, who says, man, this shit that house got, it's pretty cool.
Does he go, Mamma mia?
We're gonna do it better with
Can we
these.
fucking stop?
Let's bring a pizza to Salinas.
So, and
Mountain
actually,
Lights.
Mrs. White Miss White, can you flip the
Yes,
board
I
now,
was
please?
waiting for you to tell me.
Yeah. So
Boom, 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 boom. I don't
So-
know why I went. I don't know
All
why I
right,
went.
do you want to buy a vowel?
No, just flip it.
No.
You can't even do it. Whoa, man,
So
we
here
still have
we
a
go.
shitload of fucking history to go through.
part 2, baby.
This is a history lesson.
This will go quick. This one looks different.
Oh no, I'm not complaining.
No, let's keep it going.
Keep
So-
going.
So here we go. Tresconi's like, you know what?
It's gone.
We need to
My
fix
spicy
this up.
meatballs.
So he adds a hotel.
Oh,
He adds a general
okay.
store.
Motel.
He
Hotel,
adds
Holiday
Yeah.
Inn.
Hell yeah. Tresconi's like,
He wants to get shit popping.
Is that a hotel to it? He said. Good move. Good move.
Good move.
yeah. So now this really takes over from Natividad. Natividad's like fading in the distance.
Mm.
Just covered in dust now. People are sad. Their wells are drying up. So then fucking Civil War ends. The
Hallelujah.
Rebs lose.
Hallelujah.
And they're still fighting for that. They still haven't realized that they
Well, yeah.
lost. But so anyway, yeah, the South loses. A lot of people from the South end up coming to California for the gold rush and trying to make it rich.
49ers?
A lot, yeah. This time they're like 64ers, but they tried. They tried. Some of these people start coming down here. They start seeing the halfway house. They start seeing the hotels, the area around it, and they're like, "Holy shit! Like this is it. This is popping. This is the next fucking spot."
This is Tombstone, bro.
Yeah.
Right?
Did Tombstone have a train?
Yeah, of course.
Well,
How do you
okay,
think
so it
people
wasn't.
fucking got there?
Well, it wasn't yet. Was not Tombstone yet. Then
Okay, then.
there was no train.
He'll let you know when he's there.
Yeah.
Well, who knows when Tombstone got trained, buddy?
I don't know. Well, I know when Salinas got a train.
Okay,
And
when
Salinas
was
got a
that?
train after one of these businessmen by the name of Eugene Sherwood
Oh my god!
comes down.
Mind
What a world we
blown.
live in.
Mind blown. What in the holy hell?
Can we invent something so that we can have schools named
Please.
the Little Institute?
The Little Institute of Fine
Ding.
Arts.
So yeah, Eugene Sherwood. Actually, he's not unfamiliar to this area. He had a sheep farm down by King City,
Of course.
but there was a
Everyone
drought.
knew about that sheep
Yeah.
farm.
Come
Very
on.
familiar.
The old Sherwood sheep farm. The old Sherwood sheep farm where they shear the sheep sharply.
I thought he was gonna be involved with sharks for some reason.
We should.
Surely they should.
Tell me sharks come into the history of
Please
Salinas.
tell me that sharks make an appearance at some
Anyway,
point.
the great Salinas shark attack.
I mean, Shark Week
1903.
did start last week.
It is
so-
Shark Week as we speak.
Yeah, it is
also,
Shark
just so that
Week.
you guys know.
I know, I
Salinas
know.
week here.
I
Keep
mean,
going, keep
there's no
going.
sharks.
Just
This feels like
So-
like our Shark Week right now.
Yeah.
You know what
I
I'm
feel-
learning.
this is amazing.
Yeah. So anyway,
Sherwood Sharks, by the
Eugene
way.
Sherwood says this is, I believe, this is the a place where the next little hopping town's gonna be. But in order to make sure of that, we need to get the railroad here.
Absolutely.
At this point, the Union Pacific Railroad ends in San Jose. So you need to get that. If you
Yeah.
connect to that, you do that. But at this point, some of the descendants of the Castro family have now started a competing town called Castroville.
Oh,
Of course. And that's very cocky.
And it's a dirt town, right?
Well, they lost. They lost this fight. So they went up. So the Castro family's like, they're literally like, we'll give you land.
Is that why it's called Castroville?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They were very cocky. They,
What
named, they named it after themselves.
What in the?
Yeah.
We need to start Osville then.
Yes.
Baldoville, whatever. What do you think?
Baldoville. No,
Yeah.
Osville
Yeah,
for
ours
sure.
was better.
You like that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, and over there in Castroville, they start dividing up their land and pretty much saying like, you can move in for free and we'll like mortgage the thing for you. You can have this land, and it started working. So then
Totally
Eugene
good deal.
Sherwood got together with a dude named Allison Riker and something Jackson. I saw the Jackson guy's first name, but I didn't write his name. So then,
There's a Jackson involved, is what you're
Yeah.
telling us.
so Sherwood, Riker, and Jackson get together.
Fuck this Castro and his Ville.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. And they buy 160 acres, including the halfway house
Mm.
from Trisconi. Trisconi,
That fucking Italian.
he was a tin maker. So he got rich making the thing for the 49ers. You know how they put the water.
Oh,
and
right.
then they
Like
move
the
it?
sifter.
Yeah, those things are made out of tin. So that guy,
Sperconi?
Trisconi, yeah, he was a tin
Trisconi.
maker. That's how he got the money to buy the land. And then so he sells to Sherwood, Riker, and Jackson. They lay out a city, half square mile, on what is at this point the Rancho Sausal still. This is all on Rancho Sausal property. And that is literally where we are now. Like it's all, I mean, the train station hasn't moved. That's the train station. That's where it came in 1870s when it finally came in.
Fascinating.
And so they lay out a city and Salinas just starts exploding. There's no train yet, but it looks like it's coming. At this point, this is Monterey's like 100 years old. It's kind of lost its luster. It's like a dying city. The capital has moved to San Jose. So Monterey, and at this point, Hollister is part of Monterey County. Gilroy is part of Monterey County. So, like, if you have to go to court, you have to, and you're from Hollister, you have to go to Monterey on fucking wagon. So you have to go over the mountains. Like, this is on covered wagon. Ain't no
Goodness.
cars or anything back
Oh, I
then. You
know
got to think
exactly
about
what-
this.
I know exactly what you mean. One time I flicked a cigarette in
Did you start the fire?
San Francisco.
Electro, did you start this fire?
No, it was in the freeway. It was in the freeway. A simple flick. But I had to go to court in San Francisco. I don't live there, man. That's so far away. I had to go to court there. That's very messed up.
You had the luxury of driving.
Yeah, but it's still a hell of a
Imagine you had to
drive.
take a wagon.
Well, I feel like it's this kind of the same thing, right?
Not really, but
No.
yeah, it's the same concept of having to
Yeah,
go a long distance for something you did kind of far away from that town
Some
because
bullshit.
it's in the same county. It's okay.
Okay,
Thank you. A little adoration. Thank you.
So again, so if Salinas gets not only the train, but also is the county seat, which is essentially the capital of the county, then Salinas for sure is planting its name as like the new up and coming fucking cool place to live.
Yeah.
So they had a vote. The people of Salinas said, all right, Monterey, fuck you. We think we're the
That's right.
more popular ones.
That's fucking
Let's
right.
vote on it. But Hollister was like, no, we want to be the capital too, because we don't want to fucking go over there. So they fucking divided the vote. So Monterey won and kept the capitalist is. So the
We should be the capital. That's
so
what you're telling me.
exactly. That's what the people from Salinas said.
We're
so-
the people's capital.
So yeah, so they go to the people from
We
Hollister.
got the popular vote, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Monterey had the old fucking leftover
They're
stuff.
geezers.
So
over
the
there.
Salinas people, they go to the Hollister people and they say, look, we need your votes to become the capital. And if you do that for us, we will vote so you become your own county. That way you don't have to come all the way over here and you not only get, you become the capital of your own county. So you get both things. You just got to vote for us against
Collusion.
Monterey. Yeah.
You're talking about collusion, is what
Exactly.
you're talking about.
Literally says, yeah, collusion. 1872.
Says it on the board, huh?
This is where it goes down.
Oh, shit, that.
1872, that collusion goes down. Salinas becomes the county seat. Also in that year, 1872, the train gets here. And
Finally.
Yes, we've been waiting.
well, and the important thing about connecting to the train is that now you can connect to San Francisco, which has a connection to the Intercontinental Railroad.
Mhm.
So the wheat, because at this point, you're growing wheat and barley, grains in the Salinas Valley. But you can't get them. If you want to get them to the East Coast, you have to put them on a boat all the way down, all the way to Panama and shit. Like it's this big thing.
Okay.
But
can I ask a question really quick?
Wow.
So you at this point you're telling me that Salinas is running trains? Sorry.
Don't let him
Continue.
interrupt you. You're in control of
Continue.
this podcast, Ozzy, not him.
I'm sorry. I just want to do a train joke.
You're stupid. I don't know why he lets you on these.
Continue.
Dude, and that's so 1872, train is
Nice.
here.
The train is here.
Salinas is
So we're Tombstone.
popping.
Now we're
Yeah,
Tombstone.
now we're popping.
So at that time, is it like Tombstone? There's people with fucking bowl hats and fucking walking around in fucking
yeah.
suits and fucking like
Yeah.
outlaws and shit.
Look at
Yeah,
this.
that's exactly how it is.
It's amazing.
Look at the pictures. It's pretty incredible.
That's exactly how it was.
That's amazing.
And so now that the train is connected to San Jose and to the further Bay Area, in 1874, you have 80,000 acres of land in the Salinas Valley under cultivation. It's all wheat and stuff. There's no lettuce or anything. And that's just how it goes for a while. I mean, a bunch of stuff happened, but I was just like,
do
this is just
we-
getting too much.
Do we know like why it became like a lettuce planting? Like why did that go from like wheat to like, you know what? We're just gonna go for lettuce.
So in the 20s, they brought in Chinese. So at this point, you still have all the. So the reason. So right here, in Old Town, like when you're going north, when you pass the railroad tracks, you're on Market Street, you go down under the railroad tracks.
Mm-hmm.
That was a swamp. Like that's a natural depression.
Feels like one now that you mention
Like
it.
they didn't dig that out. Like that's just drained. That's just drained swampland.
That makes sense.
And so a bunch of the land around here is drained swampland. That's why it became so. Again, in 1872, the train's here, so now the land becomes more valuable for agriculture, but a bunch of it is filled with fucking salty water. So then what they do is they start bringing in Chinese people from San Francisco to build ditches and stuff to drain all the lakes. What is now called Carr Lake was an actual fucking lake. Like it was a huge lake, and it was part of like 5 other lakes, and it was the biggest one, I believe, but they were all of similar size and they were all connected by wetlands. And then the Chinese drained all this stuff in the 20s. So in the 20s is when Carr Lake and a bunch of that stuff was drained around what is the north and east side of this city.
There's a big gap there from 74 to 21.
Yeah, I mean, because
the Titanic is long sunk after this.
Well, and there is a bunch of stuff like, oh, okay, Salinas started getting like gas lights and the car, first car came and all. But I was like, dude, it's going to turn into like a 3-hour show,
Fuck
you know?
the car.
Yeah, but you do have some good stuff. You have like these like late 1800s, like stuff that's going on,
Well, and then to answer your
Fascinating.
question of why the lettuce came here. So when the Chinese came down here, they're the ones that brought a lot of those row crops that we're
Ah.
familiar with.
So we have to thank the Chinese
So
for
this
this.
is Chinese. Fuck, we have lettuce because of the Chinese.
Yeah, basically.
That's incredible.
I would have never known that.
No.
Yeah, it was the Chinese, and then like the strawberries and stuff. The Japanese brought those over. Actually, look, they're in 1890. Getting back actually to cover a little bit of that
Yes.
gap. I forget that I added that. In 1890, also a guy by the name of Klaus Spreckles,
Of
who was
course.
freaking.
What world do we live in?
Well, Klaus Spreckles he's Klaus. Not only does he own he was big in like California history, so that guy he made sugar from sugarcane in Hawaii, but Sherwood, Riker, and Jackson convinced him dude, build a freaking sugar beet plant over here. So Klaus finally got convinced to do that. In 1890, he builds a sugar beet factory. And again, that's where there's that big gap, because at that point, Salinas is just chilling. It's a pretty wealthy little town. People come here to start businesses. It's pretty neat. A lot of stuff is going on. And again, and in 1870 and 1898 is when you get the Chinese and the Japanese coming down. Initially, again, the Chinese to drain the land, and then they brought the row crops and stuff. The Japanese brought strawberries, dude. And so the Chinese built Chinatown, of course, because they legally couldn't build in the city. So they had to build outside, and that was outside of the city at that point because on the other side of the railroad tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's it, dude. It's weird. It's one of the older Chinatowns in the country because of that, because they moved from
Really?
Yeah, because Chinatown in San Francisco is the first one, and the people from there came down to start this one. And
Do we get the second Chinatown?
it wasn't the second, but it was
Third or fourth?
it was up there. Yeah, it was one of the earlier ones in the 1870s. That Chinatown was built.
That's pretty crazy, man.
So yeah, so you have that in 1920s. The lettuce is planted. And that's when the Filipinos come in to work the lettuce fields. And the Filipinos, so Chinatown is divided into Chinatown, and one section of it is where the Japanese people live. And then, so that was already kind of filled up, and they weren't necessarily friendly to the Filipinos. So when the Filipinos moved in, they built their neighborhood to the east of Chinatown, which is where Cristo Rey is now. And actually, that street that it's on is called Calle Cebu, because that's the capital of the Philippines, is Cebu City. then that's where the Filipino community center is right there. I mean, because that's their old neighborhood. And so the Filipinos move into that neighborhood in the 20s to work the fields. Dude, the Filipinos, it's fucking interesting. They founded some of the first labor unions. They had a newspaper called the Philippines Mail, which is the longest running Filipino newspaper in the country. It was printed in Salinas. Obviously, it's not around anymore, but they printed news in Tagalog, like it was in their native language. And it was interesting. It was interesting. And out of all the country, this is where they had that thing. So the Filipinos come in, they're working the fields and everything's cool. You know, Salinas is getting even wealthier now now the lettuce has come in. The green gold fucking has arrived. So in 1930, the population of Salinas is 10,000. You know, fucking booming, baby.
That's like Chular.
Fucking booming.
We're not 10,000.
So you got 10,000.
Oh no, you're not. We're not, huh?
We're well below that.
Well, below. Never mind. Fake news.
Yeah, come on.
We're like half of that.
So 1930, you have 10,000 people living in Salinas. And obviously around that time, you had the Depression. You know, the Depression. And on top of that, in the Midwest, you had the Dust Bowl. Everybody knows about John Steinbeck, about Grapes of Wrath.
Fucking end up here.
The Steinbecks ended up here again after Civil War. It was the same thing. If you read, it's not Grapes of Wrath. What's the other?
Tortilla flat.
No, East of Eden. East of Eden.
Eden.
East of Eden that's basically a story about his family.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
they came here after the Civil War, and they also had a ranch in King City. But in the 1860s, that same drought that pushed Sherwood out of King City into San Francisco pushed not the Steinbecks. I don't think they were the Steinbecks yet, but Steinbeck's family farther north of the valley. So they came ultimately via the East Coast, part of it from the East Coast, like New England area, and some of it from the South, Civil War people. So the 1930s, everyone's read about the Dust Bowl or Grapes of Wrath or whatever. And in Salinas, so Salinas obviously is one of these places where people come to look for work because of what Salinas does. Again, in lettuce at this point, we do more fresh vegetable stuff. It's a little bit insulated from the Great Depression. Like the Great Depression wasn't as bad in Salinas as it was in other places because of the valuable agriculture that we sell. You know, it's not wheat. You know, it's not corn. This is, yeah, exactly. Strawberries are fucking expensive. They were expensive back then. So there's a lot of work here. So a lot of people come here, and a lot of people settle in the old Rancho El Alisal, which is to the east of Salinas. It's outside of Salinas city limits. There's a map from 1874 that somebody discovered. And Alisal Road is called Alisal Road because it's the road you take to get to the Alisal village over there, way in the hills. Because if you think about it, it would be on horseback. Like to go from here to Montemar on horseback.
Hell of a trip.
That's a fucking mission, yeah. And there was that one road. So you would take that. So they started settling on that land. Apparently, they called it Pork Chop Hill.
It's a beautiful name.
What's Hebron now? Hebron Heights.
They should have kept it as Pork Chop Hill.
Pork Chop Hill.
what a travesty. That's history for you guys.
So, Salinas is not really affected by the Depression but it's selling stuff. But it is affected by the Depression in that a bunch of people come here to work. Mm-hmm. So now the Filipinos
were overrun.
Well, yeah, because they're getting their wages cut. So they try to cut the Filipino wages or the workers' wages because they work in sheds at this point from 40 cents an hour to 30 cents an hour. Filipinos were like, no fucking dice. There was no dice. So in 1934 and 1936, there was strikes in Salinas, lettuce strikes about wages. And these were I wish I was trying to make a slideshow because these weren't just strikes. These were like battles. It's the 1936 strike is literally called the Battle of Salinas in some newspaper accounts.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. I'm like, what is the Battle of Salinas?
So-
like, and why
I feel like
haven't I
we're
ever
fighting it
heard
every
of
day,
it?
dude.
Okay, so this is how it went down. The county supervisors were run by the farmers, as is usually the case. And
Of course.
the Filipinos got together and the Filipinos formed the Filipino Labor Supply Association, which was one of the first ag unions ever. So the Filipinos were like, dude, you're not going to keep fucking with us. We're unionizing, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
So they make a union. The county board of supervisors passes an ordinance that says you can't picket. It's an anti-picketing ordinance. So they essentially give the sheriff the power, like it's illegal to picket. You have all power to do whatever you have to stop these
Picketers.
these picketers. So what the sheriff does, Sheriff Carl Abbott does at that point is he says, all right, every able-bodied man from 18 to 45, you have to report to the sheriff's office to be deputized.
That's awesome shit.
Yeah.
This is tombstone shit right here. That's what we're talking about.
This
No.
is in the 30s.
Well, yeah.
What would you have given to be deputized, Gordy?
You.
oh my god!
All
I'll
you had to
give
do
her
was-
up. I'll give her up to be deputy, guys. No, yeah, dude. Have a little star on your fucking on your jacket. Come on. That's what you give a sister up for. Not for much else, but for that.
I'm taking this as disrespect.
No,
No, but
that's
you
the
gotta
ultimate
see- look-
respect.
You got to see some of these pictures, though. Look at this. You can't really see it, but look at that.
Oh yeah.
Just armed men with shotguns. Look at that sheriff. Look at that fucking fat.
All
fuck.
of them wearing hats.
This is in Salinas. This is fucking
This is Salinas.
crazy.
This is Main Street.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's
Look-
crazy to
look
see
up
it
these-
like that.
Look up these pictures. What do
you
they gotta
guys, this
Google?
is gonna blow your mind. What?
This is Salinas lettuce strike.
Salinas lettuce strike.
But that's Main Street.
Or you could say Battle of Salinas.
Look at right here. Look at the background.
Oh my god!
There it
That's
is.
First Awakenings.
Yes, it is.
That's insanity. That's where they shot bandits
This is
with Bruce
freaking-
Willis and
this
Billy
is
Bob
freaking
Thornton.
me
And
out.
if you pay attention, this man here in the white, he's bloodied. His shirt is all bloodied. He's
How many times have we crossed that street drunk as hell?
Yeah.
And these guys were battling it out.
There was like a Gangs of New York situation going on
Right.
in the fucking place where we get drunk on a daily.
Yeah. So that's basically what. Okay. See here it is. See that they're
Fascinating.
protecting the trucks.
We need to make a poster out of that image. That's so fucking cool.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, actually, that would be a great thing to
Ah,
have in the
yes.
studio.
Sheriff Carl Abbott. See.
Well, get Carl Abbott out here, boys.
And if you notice, it's 2 B's, 2 T's, just like Abbott wrote.
double.
Let's just double up on the letters.
So anyway,
Bring
so that's what
Abbott
they
in.
would do. The county said it's illegal to strike. So then the sheriff and the farmers, they would bring in scabs to work the fields. Of course, the Filipinos would want to go over and fuck up the scabs. So then these dudes would show up to fucking protect. Look at this shit. Every one of them has a shotgun. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
That's
7,
a
8,
fucking
9,
gang.
10,
Yeah.
11.
yeah.
Every single one of them has a
The
shotgun. in their hand.
original Salinas
Gang.
gangsters.
Abbott's gang. Sheriff Abbott's gang.
Don't come around Abbott, see?
Stop. Stop yourself right now.
Look out, boys and
Oh,
gals.
God.
The Abbott boys are here.
So that was the 30s in Salinas. So
What a time.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, there was armed vigilantes roaming the streets. Unions were being formed.
This would be a legitimate movie.
Yeah.
Like a classic Western about Salinas. We need to write
We need to write
that,
it.
Ozzy.
we got the
Dude, look,
beginnings.
you got all the information here.
Ah,
We
that's-
we can write this.
I think
Well, you
so.
could do a multi-generational type flick, right? Where you follow different people. One guy was in this gang. His son was like, "What the fuck? I can't believe my grandpa did this, or my
Yeah.
dad did this." I don't know. Anyway,
We'll talk about this after.
Yeah, off air.
So cut this part out. They're gonna steal our idea.
Yeah. So that's 1936. It's the rest of the 30s. It keeps as tumultuous, but obviously the end of the decade is the beginning of World War II.
Obviously,
All our problems seem kind of small at that point. Nazis are everywhere.
killing Nazis.
So Nazis are everywhere. In 1940,
But Salinas was a booming, wasn't it?
oh, so yeah, in the 20s actually, like per capita, which is if you divide like, okay,
Capitus.
yeah, well, say like, okay, the amount of money Salinas made like through its goods was $100 million, and there's 5,000 people there, so that divided by the other means every person was responsible for X amount of money or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In the 20s, Salinas was the wealthiest based on that number in the country.
100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were the wealthiest
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
So it was dude. If you read some of the accounts, people were like, Salinas is it.
Mhm.
It was supposed to be San Jose before San Jose took over. I don't know what happened. World War
Yeah.
II. So anyway, World War II, the Salinas Tank Company is activated. The Salinas Tank Company is a battalion, the Salinas Battalion of soldiers that dates back all the way to the 1890s. They're different soldiers at this point, obviously. But basically, like when anything ever went down and they needed the National Guard, these are the dudes that would show up. And in 1940, because of World War II, Salinas Tank Company called up into action. They go to Washington State to learn whatever they're going to do. They fight in the Philippines. They fight in another battle. I forget what other battles, but they fight down in there. They end up being part of the Bataan Death March. And out of the 107 people that left from Salinas, again, these are all men from Salinas. Only 47 of them came back from World War II. Yeah.
60% of them died.
Yeah. Of these guys from Salinas. So also
That's very interesting to think of, like people from Salinas fought in World War II. Like,
well, not only that, and back then it was like people only from Salinas, we wouldn't just join the army and they would just throw us with different people. Like it would just be like me, you, and all our friends, like, yeah, when time to war, like we become
let's
soldiers.
go die together.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so crazy. It's like not even half of them came back.
No,
Fuck.
not half of them came back. And then also in the middle of the war in 1942, the president, who was it, Roosevelt? Teddy
Absolutely.
Roosevelt?
Absolutely, it was.
He signed the act of the Japanese relocation thing, basically saying if you're a Japanese American and you live within X amount of the coast,
Thanks for the
you
strawberries.
go to prison. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter, dude.
Ungrateful bastards.
Well, exactly. Again, 1890s. They go back to the 1890s in Salinas. They were established already as part of the community.
Damn.
Well, again, to show that, I have that number there. Where's my Salinas High number? Oh, 46 seniors from Salinas High in 1942 didn't graduate because they were sent to fucking prison. They were sent to internment camps.
Wow.
46 seniors
Like, why did they get?
because they were Japanese.
They're
Japanese?
Japanese. Yeah. So
Yeah, if you were a Japanese citizen during World War II and you lived within like 500 miles of the coast, you got arrested.
This is why we're gonna be in cages soon, right, Ozzy? Like, if you're Mexican, even though you're in America,
well, this is where when people talk about this and people say this is outrageous, we would never do this. It's like, yes, we did.
We have.
We did. Again, in Salinas, so the rodeo grounds have been around since Eugene Sherwood's time.
Absolutely.
That was land that he owned, and so obviously there was no rodeo at during this because of the war. So in 1942, they used the rodeo grounds as an assembly center for all the Japanese people that lived in this area. that lived in, again, what is Monterey, Santa Cruz, and San Benito County. It was different back then, but those areas, all of them were taken. They were put at they built, like, they put them in the horse stables, which is fucked up. So in the horse stables, that's where they would put the families temporarily so they could figure out who, get whatever the hell information they were going to get from them. And ultimately, over 3,500 Japanese people went through the Salinas Assembly Center, which is what we call the sports complex now. And
Insanity.
yeah, there's a rock out there that says that, but it's nuts. It's fucking nuts. So anyway, at this time as well, because of World War II, because we're doing this to our Japanese citizens, there's nobody to work the fields, and we obviously need fucking field work. We're in the middle of a war.
I feel like that's the intro to the Mexicans.
Oh,
right
yeah.
there.
In come the fucking
Yeah.
in come the fucking
Here we come, here we
Mexicanos.
come.
Here come the Morenos.
Yeah. Literally
Mhm.
and figuratively.
Literally.
That is our last name, but we are also dark.
Yeah.
I'm dark. You're not.
In my heart, I am.
And granted, it is kind of strange in that in 1823, when the story first started, this was Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very amazing.
So it's kind of
actually.
a reintroduction. And so in 1942, a program was started to bring Mexican nationals in to come work the fields, what we commonly call the Bracero program. And a lot of Mexicans love Salinas, and we just fucking stayed,
That's
bitches.
fucking right, we did.
We ain't going
I'm
anywhere.
still here, baby.
And this is where it gets kind of fun at this point. It's just fun little things just to wrap up this episode.
Oh, let's go.
So we're in 1942. Mexicans show up. What's up?
Yeah, just like pinches barbacoa.
It's like we're about to show you how the fuck to work. Like,
Oh yeah,
And so
partying.
5 years after that, Salinas is home to the first planned shopping center. So I'm assuming like plaza type thing in the country. The very first planned shopping center in the country is built in Salinas.
no.
It's what's called Valley Center. It's where the bowling
Valley
alley
shopping.
is.
Oh, that does seem old. Now that you talk
It does
about
seem
it,
very old.
it seems like when you show up in that like parking lot or whatever, it does seem like it's a 1950s kind of a fucking
1947.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're getting
It
there.
also included the building across the street, and in the building across the street was the centerpiece of this shopping complex or the shopping center, and it was a Sears store.
Oh,
So-
yes. It's recently went out of business. R.I.P. to that.
Well, this
Yeah.
was the bee's knees at that point. That Salinas was getting a Sears.
It's getting a
in
Sears.
that
It's a big
place.
deal.
That building is now called the Quadrangle Building.
I don't like
It-
that name. What was
It's
that
got
mean?
like social services and stuff there.
Yeah.
It's on South Main.
It's close to where we go to the eye doctor.
Romy Lane.
Yeah, it's in that area. There's a big office building there. That's the old Sears. So in
Oh,
1947,
yeah, I feel like I've been there. Yeah,
You
it
have.
does feel like a fucking Sears. Now
Yeah.
that you mention it.
you're in the escalator. You're on the escalator. Like, why does this look fucking familiar?
Why do
as
I want to
fuck?
buy a fucking laundry machine? I'm gonna go get a fridge as soon as I leave this building.
So 1947, Valley Shopping Center opens up. Salinas is fucking still popping, happening in town. Very next year, Salinas Junior College, to honor its legacy and its creator, changes its name to Hartnell College.
But that is official, right? Like because of the Hartnells when this was still fucking Mexico. Is that
Yeah,
what you're telling me?
William Hartnell got one of the.
This was still Mexico when that was happening, right?
yeah, a white guy too, dude.
Mhm.
It's funny. You're like,
Insanity.
you read all like you're going through all the history, and there's just like one white, and it's all these Marias and Castros.
The white
and
savior.
Soberangas.
That's why it's a prominent fucking thing in movies. You get
Well,
the
he-
white savior in
he
there.
married a woman whose father was a prominent Spanish guy in this area. So again, that's why he was like he financed the 2,900 acres or whatever. I was like, all right, give it to my boy here,
Mm-hmm.
but he's got to build a school.
Get some strawberries.
So in 1948, again, Salinas Junior College becomes Hartnell. Next year, 1949, and again, a bunch of stuff has happened, but also the Alisal area has continued to grow. The Okies, they didn't go nowhere. And as people have come to go to work, they go there because that is built to cheaper standards. That's where all the workers end up. So in 1949, Salinas says, dude, join us. If you join us, we'll build you sidewalks, running water,
Absolutely.
white women.
Yeah.
Like, we have it all.
Yeah, this is all luring me in.
He would have totally joined.
The people of Alisal, they say 9. They will have none of that shit.
9?
We'll stay on our own. They vote no annexation.
Keep your horse.
Alisal stays
Keep your
on its
white
own thing.
horse.
We have our own horse.
But at that time, Salinas is growing still, but it has really substandard medical facilities. If you need a fucking appendicitis, you need a tit job, you got to go to San Jose for that shit.
Right.
It's bullshit.
That's how it goes, though, to this
And
day,
it's
right?
far. It's a far drive to go get your tits done.
If you want your
Bullshit.
tits done, you're going to... Come on, you're going to take
This is the
drive.
50s. TV's out, you know. People are seeing you. You got to look good. So people in
Titties are
Salinas
important.
is like,
Titties are important.
like, how can we get our people here?
Titties.
So a bunch of people get together. Several of the local business people get together.
Mhm.
A law passes saying that you can raise taxes to build a hospital if you want.
Cool.
So they say, cool, we're going to do that. We're going to build a hospital in Salinas so we don't have to keep going to San Jose for all this fucking work. We
For
can just
my
stay
boob
local.
job.
Can we
Yeah.
heal these motherfuckers here?
Heal that.
A lot of them are dying on the way.
Yeah. We're still taking carriages in the 50s.
Look, we're trying, but they're dying on the way.
Mhm.
So a bunch of people get together, including a guy named Bruce Church, who there's still a local ag company called Church Brothers. And
That sounds awesome.
they're one of the big ag companies, and he is one of those originals. So they get together, they figure out the money, they build this hospital in what it used to be old Japanese strawberry fields, which is kind of fucked up.
It's
Strawberry
very
Fields
fucked
Forever?
up.
Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying to me?
Dude,
So they
turn
built it on
put
Romy
right
on
now.
Romy Lane.
Let's
and-
honor the Japanese by playing that song.
Strawberry
Yeah.
Fields Forever.
Yeah.
Well, they decide to honor the men and women that fought in World War II. And let's be honest, it was almost only men. They didn't really think about the women.
Yeah, I mean, women.
They were there, but they didn't honor them for
Well,
that.
women were like
They were nursing
nurses.
people
Yeah,
back
they
to
were.
health.
Yeah, they were.
So again, in order to honor the people that fought in World War II, they decided to name this hospital Memorial Hospital.
Oh my god,
Which
this
is-
is making me emotional, Ozzy, because we were born there.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
born in Memorial
Yeah,
Hospital.
all three of us were.
So in 1953, Memorial Hospital opens up, again named to honor everybody that fought in World War II, including the 60 people, 60 people from
that didn't
Salinas.
come back
So,
home?
that
so
didn't-
our lives being born in Memorial Hospital are in some way a tribute to these people that
fallen
fought
soldiers.
in the war.
Yeah.
that were from Salinas.
Yeah, they live on. They live on through
Through
us.
through us.
Yeah.
What a fucking
We keep making life, you know.
what a realization we just
Goodness,
made.
Ozzy, you
Yeah.
have changed my life
Yeah.
today.
This is
I'm gonna
Salinas.
move back
Well, this
to
is
Salinas.
what we're fighting for. This
I'm
is
gonna move
what
back
this
to
is.
Salinas. I've decided today.
Thank you. I mean, this is insanity. This is beautiful.
This is really great. I really hope a lot of people listen to this because
Yeah.
this will really make
No
you
one knows
proud
the
of you.
fucking story. I
you-
never even thought about what this
No.
story was.
No, well, this is it. So also in the 50s, Sherwood Gardens shopping center opens up in front of the sports complex.
Yes,
So then
yes.
Get
that
some good, really good Chinese food there.
Yep.
well, and that's what begins
I used to work in that shopping center.
that's what begins the
That's
city's
your dad.
growth towards that area
And when did dentistry come to Salinas? I wanna...
with the Chinese.
So
for
good.
sure.
So
the
good.
Chinese.
So yeah, so anyway, so Salinas starts growing to that part of town. We start growing north. And so in 1960, that's when North Salinas High School opened up. But Salinas was not fucking done growing because in 1963, Alisal finally said, "All right,
Yes.
you win. We'll
be part of
become Salinas.
Yeah.
Name a street after us, and we got a fucking deal.
And the high school, and we're
Can we
good.
have a high
and
school
we're
and a
good.
middle school too,
It's
and a market.
yeah.
Just honor
Well,
us. Honor
yeah,
us.
there's a lot.
I would like a market, sir.
So Alisal becomes a part of Salinas. Salinas' population all of a sudden is around 50 grand at this point.
Oh,
50,000 people in Salinas. Salinas is growing.
Booming.
It's
It's a
Yeah.
booming.
it's growing, and so then a couple years later, to fill this booming population, Alisal High School is built. And that's pretty crazy. I thought that was crazy. Two high schools within 5 years. North High in 1960 and Alisal in 1965.
Wow.
And
There-
these
I mean, there
and,
must have
the,
been a
and these high
need.
schools stand, and the people of Salinas go to them to this very fucking day.
Yeah.
Those are still some of the high schools. Also in 1962, it really has to be said, John Steinbeck won the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Mm-hmm.
I still, to
Mm.
me, the Nobel Prize it's a huge,
It's a
huge
honor.
award.
It's a huge honor.
Yeah, it's just like right above the Oscar, isn't it?
Right below the Peabody.
Pretty
So
good.
anyway-
the AVNs are also in the
They've gained a lot of prestige over the years.
people vote. People vote.
So in 1962, John Steinbeck wins the Nobel Prize for Literature, which I think is monumental. It cements him as one of the most
Salinas' greatest sons.
well, that for sure, but one of the best writers of the 20th century, if
Also
not
that.
the best. I've seen like best book lists of the 20th century for like different
they got
countries.
Steinbeck in there every
It's
time.
It's top 5
Wow.
all the time, everywhere around the world.
So we gotta go to the Steinbeck Center again.
I love the Steinbeck
John
Center.
Steinbeck
My prom was at the
is,
Steinbeck Center.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah. So in 1962, he wins the Nobel Prize. 1963, Alisal becomes part of Salinas. Also in 1963, in September, here's your Chular fucking connection. There you go.
Thank you, please.
32 dead.
So,
Oh.
Ah.
So in September 17th,
So
of
the
19
Chularians were slaughtered.
It's like there's already not enough people living there, and then 32 get
No
killed.
wonder no one wants to stick around.
So in 1963, the Bracero program is still going on. The war ended, but people were like, these Mexicans work hard.
Yes.
Let's just keep them.
Can we make a little town for them?
Yeah. So these dudes obviously would take buses, as they still do, to go to the fields.
Every
Isn't that
fucking
amazing?
day. Every fucking day.
Bro,
Like that hasn't changed.
Well, so this bus, quote unquote, was a flatbed truck that they bolted benches onto.
Okay.
So this was how they would get people to work. So they did that.
We'll give you a bench to sit on.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
that
So-
is dangerous.
Oh, it's super dangerous. So no seatbelts, nothing. No, not even a roof.
A
Not.
sturdy bench, though. A nice sturdy bench.
It was probably pine or something, you know.
A decent wood.
My guess it was pine.
A decent wood. You're not gonna make these guys sit on just like whatever, Some bitch wood.
Yeah.
A nice slab. So there was deaths.
So there was
So they take this flatbed truck, they bolt benches to it, they fill it with braceros, they send them to work. They're going to work, they're crossing over the railroad tracks in Chular. There is a memorial there now. When you're driving home tonight, don't hit it.
Well, I've
But it's still there. It's so they're driving down. There, for some odd reason, the truck crosses the railroad track when a train is coming. These same railroad tracks that came to Salinas in 1872. The truck tries to go over the tracks, gets stuck, gets hit by the train.
Whoa.
32 braceros end up getting killed.
32.
32. It is to this day the deadliest traffic accident in American history.
No way.
If you look it up, there is.
Get out of
Let me tell you something.
town.
As someone who has lived in Chular since he was fucking 9 or 10.
Yeah.
I would always hear about ghost stories on the fucking train track.
At least 32 of them are right.
and I'd be sleeping, trying to sleep in my little bed, trying to fucking
Not think about
try
it.
to go to 5th grade the next day or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'd hear that train, bah, bah, and I'd be like,
It's
ghost.
coming
ghosts
round the
and
bend.
death. Because the train track is very audible and very close to
Yeah.
where we actually live.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure a lot of those stories stem from this night.
Mm.
I think so. Now that
day.
you mention it, yeah, there's like ghost trains. There's ghost train stories in Chular that I would hear, and then I'd hear the train and be like, "This
Okay,
is
sidebar.
this
You
is-
can also make a horror movie about the 32 dead braceros from Chular.
That's part 2.
Yeah, that's part 2.
That's
Big-
part 2. The spinoff.
Big shout out to Chago and Bactun 12. They actually did a play called Mi Abuelito Fue Bracero, and it was about a gentleman that was killed in that tragedy.
In the Chular fucking travesty.
Yeah, which I saw at the
Chular
Mullins
Massacre
Theater
of 60th.
at Alisal High School.
I can't believe that in my little town there is a fucking statistic
Yeah.
of fucking great fucking traffic accident.
It is the deadliest traffic accident.
Say it again
in
for the
the
kids.
That's
it's
amazing.
terrible. It changed a lot of laws, a lot of rules, a lot of things came from that. It's unfortunate because it's obviously a huge tragedy, but a lot of rules were changed.
That's usually how laws change, though, or
But
how they evolve.
The Bracero program was ended shortly after that. Some people say that had a big part, like that ruined the PR. Like you bring, because these are, again, Mexican nationals. These aren't Mexican Americans. These are people that come to Mexico, brought from Mexico to work and then taken back. So they came from their country and died here because of our fucked up safety laws. So that was a pretty huge, big event. And that was, again, the year after John Steinbeck wrote or won the Nobel Prize writing
For
about
what?
stories about for literature.
Yeah, okay, but so what had he just written or what?
Grapes of Wrath.
Grapes of Wrath, of
Mhm.
course.
Grapes of Wrath when you look at the top books, that's the book. Grapes of Wrath is his big thing, you know.
So when you think of like, okay, like Steinbeck, where does he stack up next to like a Hemingway, which people say that he's the
He's
greatest
up
writer
there
of all
with there.
fucking time?
Oh, he there's a lot of lists where he's above Hemingway. They're contemporary.
Really?
Yeah, they're contemporaries. They're rivals.
That's beautiful, man.
John Steinbeck. I don't know, because I feel like if I was from Wichita, Kansas, one of my favorite writers would be John Steinbeck. I don't know how to express how lucky I am and how happy I am that I get to walk the same streets that this motherfucker does.
It's inspiring for sure.
I see the same the fire, man. Like like anyway, he saw those same vistas. When you read your travels with Charlie, and he's at Fremont's Peak and he's talking about north, south, east, west, and like one last time. And I'm just like, fuck, dude, I've seen that. I've experienced that. I know what he
what
felt.
he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I felt that inside of me, when you just see from Fremont's Peak all over Monterey Bay. And again, I love, because to me, he describes things better than anything. That dude could describe a hill. It's like in 3 paragraphs, and it's just like, God damn, how did you put so much detail? But not only that, I could walk that fucking hill that he described. Like as a
Feel the
writer,
same feeling.
yeah, as a writer, to me, it's just a fucking, I don't know. There's something to it. And anyway, I don't mean to digress on that, but to me,
Let's jerk off
John Steinbeck
a
being
little
here
bit more.
and being a Nobel Prize winner, we should be absolutely fucking proud of that.
No, dude. What the Steinbeck Center is a short walk from where we are right now.
We walked in front of it to go get beer earlier.
Yeah.
and it's always
We
there.
saw his house when we
always
turned
there.
left.
It's always there for us.
Everybody knows, like whatever. Steinbeck is the most important thing in Salinas.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
He's Salinas' son
Yeah.
for sure, forever and always.
Our,
And he
our
all-
pride and joy.
And he only really like wrote about Salinas like kind of like casually.
He was
right?
not a fan of this town. Dude, I love Steinbach and I love Salinas and the people from here that want to promote as a touristy thing.
Yeah, like he talks about it
looked down at
briefly,
this
like
town.
on Mice and Men, of Mice and Men. He like mentions it, right? But it's never like, oh yeah, Salinas is great. Like he just kind of brings it up every now and then. But he's still the fucking treasure of this fucking town.
Well, because again,
You
if
don't
you
have to love this town.
oh no one does.
That's what I'm saying.
We all love it.
We love it somehow.
but again, he grew up with the workers that made this town wealthy, and he grew up when it was that super wealthy. He saw how superficial it was. He saw that everybody was like, again, juking and jiving and fucking living life and just pretending like they were the fucking bee's knees because they were all rich and shit. And Steinbach was like, fool, you guys are all filthy. Like, you guys are all terrible. Only reason you're doing this is because you're doing this on the backs of these people that you don't ever want to acknowledge even exist. And that's when he wrote about it, that's why the farmers hated him. That's when they say that they burned his books, which is not that common, but it did happen. But that's why he was disliked, because he grew up in this city when it was like San Jose is now.
Mhm.
Imagine growing up in Silicon Valley.
Never would want to imagine that.
Well, no, yeah, but imagine doing it like you're from there. You're from the quote unquote real Silicon Valley. Like your family is from there from what before it was
Silicon Valley.
this what it is. And now you just see all these fucking towers and money, and you're like, this is not
Disgusting.
And Steinbach wrote about that, which is why
We're here.
a lot of people pissed a lot of people off. Anyway, damn it, I don't want to keep going this Steinbach rabbit
we
hole.
need to
I love
do a
Steinbach.
Well,
Steinbeck
honestly-
episode.
Honestly, Ozzy boy, I think like you're talking about a lot of really great stories in this episode. I think there's episodes to be had where we like dive into
Yeah.
these.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
individual
No, that's why I definitely
things.
want, yeah. And anybody listening who's like gritting their teeth is like, fuck, you missed this part or that part. Know that
We
I
need to-
purposely skipped over a lot because there is a lot more to digest and a lot more things that do deserve episodes on their own.
Oh, that's why this is Salinas Underground podcast. So we're gonna talk about Salinas Underground
all the time.
Then let's do it.
You're
Let's give the-
24/7.
Cause this is amazing. This is super fascinating to me. I feel ashamed that I never even
Oh,
thought
Not
to
even.
ask
Yeah,
these
you-
about where we
you
came
really,
from and
you
why
really
we're
love,
here.
you really love your town, Ozzy.
Yeah,
and
fuck yeah. Well, and
I-
this is what if people knew this, I believe they would as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
that
there is
vote-
a pride to
I
these.
have like this new pride.
There is a pride to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
it's amazing,
And that's what I want. So when November comes, when you have to cast that vote, it's not
Thanksgiving,
just
right? Thanksgiving.
no,
Shut
it's the
up.
first week.
It's over after. It happens before
It's
Thanksgiving.
like the
But
first,
will we
it's the
give
first
thanks?
Thursday. yeah, exactly. That's the question.
Yeah, we don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Turkeys.
But this is what's on the line.
Pilgrims.
This is what's on the line.
And then, so what's the last thing on this board?
So, all
here?
right. So, well, and I got a little bit. I go up to 1998. And this will finish up quickly.
Nah, take
So,
your
so
time,
we're in the
bud.
60s. Well, we can't. We're in the 60s. Steinbach wins his Nobel Prize. Salinas is
62.
still doing cool. Was doing cool in 1972. Fucking tragedy for the original Salinas.
For
Old-
the shopping center.
Yeah, so at this point, downtown Salinas, what we know as downtown or South Salinas, again, South
Mhm.
Main, is still the shopping center. Everybody comes here from around Monterey County, Santa Cruz County to do their shopping here.
Absolutely.
Well, in 1972, all that changes because a store named Emporium opens a shopping center.
that giant E.
Damn.
That
Yeah, that
fucking.
giant E.
They like,
Not
dude.
gonna-
You get to Salinas, that giant E would be the first thing you.
It was lit up. It was a giant red E.
You're home, baby. That's
Yeah.
what that meant.
So for all our younger listeners, that is what is now called Northridge
Macy's.
Mall, or
And
yeah,
it's
or Macy's, yeah, or
It's
Macy's.
Macy's. Macy's was where the Emporium was at.
Yeah, but it was an Emporium shopping center, so it was built around that Macy's. So that was the first thing to go in there. 1972, that opens up.
So, in other words, las tiendas grandes.
Las tiendas
It was
grandes.
funny when I was doing my notes. I
Yeah.
wanted to say, "Oh, some big stores opened up," just to see if you guys knew or if that's how you
Of
refer to
course.
them. But yeah,
That's
las
what our
tiendas
parents
grandes.
called it our
Las
entire,
tiendas
chi-
grandes.
our
Yeah,
entire
Look,
if
childhood.
you grew up on the
Look,
east
we're
side,
done with these little ass stores. We're going to the
Mom,
big
we're going
ones.
to the big ones. Yeah.
but and
We're
it's
going to
funny
Pennies.
because that's well, if you think about it, that's where it comes from. Because you would go downtown.
Mm-hmm.
You would go downtown
Little
before
shops.
that. Well, and yeah, and you compare what is even that quadrangle building to Northridge Mall.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
ginormous.
Oh, yeah.
So if you lived in Salinas and spoke Spanish at that time, those new stores would be huge. So you'd be like Las Tiendas Grandes.
Well, that's the
We-
beauty of Salinas and Old Town. Is you're walking down Old Town, it does feel old.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You see the structures, you'll be like, this has been here for a long fucking time. Las tiendas grandes, güey. That's new shit.
New shit.
We all knew that. But yeah. Well, again, we all knew that growing up. We all know that term. So 1972, they opened up as the Emporium Shopping Center. 5 years later, in 1977, the really big shock comes to downtown when Sears announces they're leaving their South Main place and moving to a new
The
expansion
Northridge
at
Mall.
Northridge Mall.
Betrayal.
Yeah, I don't know if you
That's a taste of
remember. I
betrayal.
personally don't remember, but
No.
originally Sears was separate from the mall. They
Of course
connected
I
it.
don't
In,
remember that.
yeah, they connected it in the 80s. But
Well, no, I was
originally,
born in
Well,
the late
no,
80s.
we were born in. Well, I was born in the early '80s, but I
You're
don't
born in
have.
80s.
I don't have
82?
memories of the mall being separated. I think Sears was already combined.
yeah, I don't
What a
either.
tale.
But there that exists. So people, the business owners of downtown were like, "Fuck that." Like they went to the city and they're like, "You got to do something. You're fucking us over.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna lose hella business." So the city decides,
This is
all
the
right,
fight for Salinas' soul right here.
that's what they were saying. So the city said,
Oh,
all right,
shit.
we're gonna spend $1 million to revitalize
Downtown.
the downtown in an old town western theme, which is where the old town comes from.
They failed. Right?
Oh
Completely?
yeah, none of that shit looks country western at all.
I wish.
I
None
know.
of that.
No, I mean, I like I
has
said,
a
I get the
feel.
vibe.
It has.
I get the vibe.
You get a taste of it.
You get the vibe, but I mean, they failed. They had to fail financially. Las pinches tiendas grandes, you can't fuck
You
with
can't
that.
compete with
it destroyed. Yeah, it didn't
I
work.
mean, what? I have never shopped for clothes. I shopped for boots here at the Red Wing fucking
Exactly.
store once.
Or like when you have like these mom and pop like restaurants and then a fucking McDonald's moves in. You know, it's like you're just fucking the little guy, you know?
Yeah.
So that's
What
messed up.
So yeah, it
What
didn't
a
work.
tale.
That redevelopment obviously didn't work because here we are in 2020 and they're still trying to do it. So they've been trying to do it since the 70s, 1970s.
72 to be.
Well, 77 when the Sears moved. That's what really
Okay.
fucked all this down here. So in 1981, I put this in here just because I know a lot of young people are getting political and a lot of older people are going to try to tell you like, stay in your lane. You don't know what you're doing, or that there's no like history or anything like, but there's a lot of history of Chicano or Mexican American activism in Salinas,
Well, yeah,
obviously
makes
all over
sense.
California. But to show that in 1981, Hartnell College and the Salinas Californian, they sponsored what the second annual Chicano conference, which was a big organization, a big gathering of a lot of Mexican American minds. So already at that time, there was people getting together thinking about how can, again, this country better help or do something. Again, the Mexican American, we're starting to become a presence. And again, I just included in that because I know a bunch of older people are going to be like, fool, you're 20 years old. Like, you don't know shit about politics. Or like Salinas has never been like this. It's like, no, fuck that. This, you could go back again to the 30s
Yeah.
to those fucking strikes. This has
Mhm.
been a town of fucking armed combat, of fucking radical
Revolution.
revolution. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And at this point, up until the 80s, Salinas had what were called like popular vote elections. Actually, I don't know the exact term. So for city council members, it was basically okay. There was 4 spots up. 10 people ran. The 4 people with the highest amount of votes, they became council members.
Sounds
So,
fair.
well, because of that, it ended up happening. The fucking 4 most popular, aka the 4 most people with money,
Mhm.
would all end up winning. So it was all white city council at this point. This was the 80s, you know. Salinas was changing. The population
Cocaine
was nearing 100.
thriving.
Yeah, the crack epidemic was in full swing.
Oh.
Wow,
my
what
God.
a time.
What a time to be alive.
So again, part of this
When did cocaine reach Salinas?
Can you shut up about cocaine?
Well, we had Fort Ord since a while, and so I think pretty quickly.
Cocaine
And we've
came in
had
there.
again train connections and traffic connections. Like this has probably been a hub for drugs
It was
for a
a-
long time.
Yeah, it was an easy just an easy trip. Okay.
You used to be able to take boats also down the Salinas River to Moss Landing, and
to Cocaine Island. Okay.
dude, there's a pretty cool rum running story of Moss Landing.
Man, we need to
break this down.
Oh yeah,
into
we need to
different
get
episodes.
into
I just
episodes
can't-
of
I
all
can't
these
even-
stories.
Every,
oh my goodness!
Every bullet point, you guys. I mean,
Let me finish
obviously,
this.
you can't see this,
Finish
but
it
he
up,
has
finish
like
it
a
up.
million bullet points that I feel can all be
Bring it on home.
episodes.
Bring it on home, Ozzy. Here, have it. Get another drink. Bring it on
Finish
home.
that up. So
Let's do this for
the
America.
80s. We're in the 80s now. Let's just kind of get into our era.
Kind of.
1981, second annual Chicano Conference held in Salinas at Hartnell College. So in the late 80s, the Mexican American Chicano people start saying, hey man, we're fucking underrepresented. It's always fucking white farmers that end up being on the council.
The chosen whites.
We ain't down with that. Yeah. We got to change that. So in 1988, the voters of Salinas decide that they want district elections, meaning that you divide the city up into districts and then the districts vote for their own representation. Makes fucking sense. So the year after that, a guy by the name of Simon Salinas runs for city council, and he's elected in 1989 as the first Mexican American councilman in Salinas history. 1989, dude.
I remember
I
that.
was 2. Lily was
was
like
1.
23.
No, I
Really was
remember
an
my
easy.
my
Yeah, an
my
easy-
family
easy 18.
was really fighting for this guy to be elected.
Oh,
Like they'd
yeah.
go out and they'd like carry signs, and we were
We
kids, but we
picketed.
would pick it. Yeah, we would pick it.
We were a part of a
So
revolution.
we got
when
to
were
meet
children.
Simon Salinas.
Well-
He was like a family friend because everyone was like trying to get him elected.
We were on the news protesting and shit.
Yeah, that was a different thing though.
Yeah,
There
well,
we
I
go.
mean, this was because this is a town that we had the strikes in the 30s, and then you had Cesar Chavez,
Mm-hmm.
later on come on,
We all know the tale.
and dude, he was locked up in jail. It was so interesting. The judge locked him up and said, we're gonna lock you in jail indefinitely until you call off the strike.
Damn.
And he said,
How
no
can you
dice.
call off a strike from jail.
Well, and he was in the jail out in Alisal, right down the street, again from where we are, in between us and Hartnell College. That jail still stands. It's a national fucking
Wow.
monument. It's still there. So anyway, yeah. So there's been political upheaval by the Mexican Americans for decades in this town. 1989, Simon Salinas gets elected first council member of Mexican American descent. And then in 1990, the population of Salinas reaches 100,000. We hit that fucking 6-digit milestone.
Ooh.
It's
And
about time.
100,000 followers for the millennials. That's kind of what it felt
yeah,
like.
exactly. That's exactly what it was, civic style on the city.
Because they're pussies.
And also going back to this Chicano revolutionary stuff, in 1992, the Chicano Cultural Resource Center opened up at Santa Lucia Library, which is now called Cesar Chavez Library.
Absolutely.
I love that library.
So again, 1992. In 1992, the Chicano Cultural Resource Center, like there's stuff that's coming out now, about Mexican Americans, retaking your heritage or being proud of what you are. In 1992, people in Salinas were already doing advanced shit. And then to finally further that, and this is my final point, ends in 1998. Of course, there's still a lot of history to go or that happened in between. But in 1998, Salinas welcomed its first woman mayor and its first Latina mayor, and that is Ana Caballero, who is now a state assemblywoman or something. And she saved the libraries and she's done a lot of stuff. But anyway, that in itself also in 1998, this is a city of, again, 200 years, but barely in 1998, we elected our first woman mayor and first Latina at that.
Well, we're progressive as fuck, is what you're telling me, right? 98?
I don't know. That seems kind of.
That seems kind of late.
Yeah, that seems kind of late to
being
me.
Funny. I was being
Oh,
You were
okay.
being facetious.
Yeah.
facetious.
So anyway, I apologize for this being one of the longer.
Don't
Salinas
apologize.
Underground episodes.
No, this is an
but there's a
important
lot,
fucking episode.
and there's a lot I skipped over, man. There's a lot to even dive into.
We must.
Just the railroad coming here about people getting fucked over and all this is like, and it crashed the first time it got here. If you go to the train station right now, there's a mural. You know that guy that does the big cutouts or whatever? So there's one right there at the train station. It's a train.
Is it
and-
worse than the
and
Chular
it's on
fiasco?
No, it's not nobody died. But the
damn
mural, it's a train and it's hitting a fence that's all broken. And it looks like that fence is not supposed to be broken, but it's by design. Because in 1872, when the fucking train finally showed up, the very first train, and everybody was there to
Hit
welcome
the
it.
fence?
Yeah. The fucking brakes failed and it
shit.
derailed.
What a tale.
But there's so much stuff, man. And this is our city, and this is what
Definitely nobody has even thought about what the fuck this town is or what it was.
Or
This
what
is
it-
very
yeah.
fascinating.
Everything
we
that
still
came
have
from
that-
this small town.
look at that picture that we still have up.
It's
on
amazing.
the TV.
I completely agree with Lil on this. It's very rare, but we should get some of these pictures up on this
Yes.
studio.
And not only that, I was thinking of when we were kind of half joking about building that halfway house bar. Imagine just having like all of these pictures.
Pure
up.
tribute.
It's
Pure
all
tribute.
history.
Yeah.
It's all history, and then Ozzy will be
It'll be
there
like an
every night, like telling tales of
It'll be
Salinas.
like an Applebee's, right? Where they
Holy
have all the memorabilia.
You know what, guys? I'm gonna apply for a small business loan. We're gonna do this.
Let's do it, man.
After this COVID shit, we're gonna start business.
Oh, we need to do it in the midst of it, so
I mean, I
that
guess
when
so. When they're ready, when the world opens up again, we'll be ready.
we'll be like, here's Salinas, bitches.
If it ever does.
Yeah,
And
we
right.
survive.
I mean, there's thunder and fire,
Yeah, that's true.
and
That's
it's
true.
never been this hot.
You need
so.
to release this as soon as possible, Ozzy, because we might all be dead. Like
The
in
aliens
the next
need to
couple
get
weeks.
this transmission.
We may not even make it home tonight.
I know,
That's how
but
serious it
just
is.
try. Just
What
try.
a good.
I feel
to
inspired.
say.
I feel inspired.
No, I love
feel like I
yeah.
learned so much in these 2 hours. I don't know how long we went, but
An hour 45.
I
That's
feel
not so bad.
it's not bad. And I feel like I hope people will really like sit and listen to it in sections. Like
Listen
you
to
know,
it, and I think like definitely we need to do episodes on these things.
these really important
get
things.
into the
Yeah.
more of the details, because this is a shitload of fascinating stuff about where we live, and we have no idea.
Yeah.
And no one thinks to ask these questions.
No, and that's exactly what I was doing. Is like we do just kind of live here, and
Yeah.
I'm not trying to talk shit to anybody because I do too.
I am. I'm trying.
It's
to-
important to find out about the roots. And also like I was thinking while you were talking about like in the timeline, like I was thinking of like when my parents got here in that timeline. And
When
it
the
was-
Morenos make it
yeah, the
around.
Morenos made it here in the 70s. My grandparents probably got here in the late 60s, and then eventually they brought their kids over in the early 70s.
Like,
But
why'd you move here? Like, we heard a big shopping center was opening up with an emporium on the end.
They got a Sears.
Tiendas grandes.
but I'm
We
sure
heard they have good deals
it
at the
was because like when
Sears.
you were
Look at that
talking about
picture.
how Salinas created opportunity, and that's why like all of these people moved here.
That
to work.
picture we need on.
Oh
This
yeah,
picture's amazing.
We need
100%.
that here.
That's
I
we've-
want that picture
that's in
so
front-
bad.
Dude, that's our fucking stomping grounds.
Yeah.
Every day of the
Yeah.
fucking week.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
we walked by that today.
Constantly. That is a part of our fucking
You could see them all
future.
bloody
We're
too in this picture.
A very big part of like our lives right
you
now.
need to share this picture, Ozzy, because it's pretty fucking awesome.
And no one knows what the fuck. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Eye-opening.
Eye-opening,
This is your city,
amazing,
baby.
great episode.
Oh yeah. We need to take a deep dive on all this shit. It's amazing.
Yeah, let's do it. But anyway, if you listened all the way through, thank
God bless you.
Yeah,
Yes, it's
thank
worth
you.
it.
Yeah,
It was worth
there's
it.
a lot to go through, but exactly, and the city is worth it. So it you have to take the effort.
You have to continue
Read
to
the
protect
5 minutes.
it.
Yeah. I mean, look what has happened in the past as well, or see what has happened when people didn't protect it.
Mhm.
Look what has happened when people thought it would fix itself. There's history in our own town. You know, we don't have to go back and be like, this is what Napoleon did or some shit. Like, no,
Yeah.
this is Napoleon from Alsou
What
Street.
Learn the lessons of what
what an-
happened in your own town.
What an interesting thought about like what to teach children. Why are we teaching them about some bullshit? And should we teaching them about what happened here?
Yeah.
Well, it
Like-
has its own lessons. Those lessons are enough. We don't have to get crazy, you know, and then they will learn about like their own town. Like,
Listen up, boys and girls.
oh God, okay, I'm over you with that voice.
That happened at some. But
Slick
anyway,
your hair back.
thanks for listening. We'll catch y'all next time.
Absolutely. What
Yeah.
a great
Thank you.
episode.
Great
Thank you,
episode.
Ozzy,
Thanks,
for
Ozzy.
having us.
You're
Thanks for-
always
thanks for
educating us.
sitting
I love
here.
it.
Yes. And listen to the Electron Bottom movie Power Hour,
Yeah.
of course.
Featuring
yeah.
Lil.
Featuring Lil constantly,
You're
at least a
accepting
quarter
it.
of a time.
You're accepting the
I have to
name.
embrace it.
At least a
you
quarter
know?
of the time she's on it. So
I have to embrace it because it's not going away.
if you want to hear a real woman's perspective,
Yeah.
Tune
Tune
into
in.
another podcast.
Tune-
But
tune in.
you want to hear Lil,
Yeah.
we got you covered.
I'm pretty outrageous.
how dare you?
pretty
Anyways,
outrageous.
thank you, Ozzy, for having us here.
Yeah, thanks, Ozzy.
All right.
Always a pleasure.
Latest.